Triple H's worst booked weekend since he took over as head of creative. So instead of reacting, we're just going to fantasy about John Cena's last match instead. This is the Golden Jobber Podcast, the premier link between Scottish and Danish wrestling fans in Europe. Let's get in there.
You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity.
As always, I am joined by my co-host. This week we have a beardless Daz.
Don't look at me, I'm hideous. Yes, beardless.
And a standing, dancing, developmental talent in Ross.
This is to keep the energy up because Lord knows Triple H can't keep our energy up with his weekly booking. How are we doing?
I mean, we've agreed in the build-up to this that we're going to basically ignore SmackDown and Raw unless we've got a spare five at the end. Not great shows. And we're going to go straight into predictions for Saturday Night Main Event, Evolution, and then we're going to just start teasing John Cena's last match. What do we want to see as fans of the GOAT? Let's start with match number one for Saturday night's main event, and we'll start with Raw. LA Knight versus Seth Rollins. This match has had a little bit of build. It's been there for a few weeks. The issue that I'm having is, and shout out to Matt on TikTok for tons of engagement in the last 24 hours.
He's been very chatty.
I'm not feeling this at all. I think the reason I'm not feeling it is that everything we said last week about Seth and the faction's true. That's not changed in 7 days. LA Knight still this massive character going over who we all love, and we love watching every week, and we love the reaction he gets for the crowd. Again, as every time we do these shows, which is every 2 weeks, and we're predicting, we don't want to jump ahead too much, but Daz, if I come to you, Rollins has to look strong, doesn't he? This is a little bit one-sided, isn't it?
Yeah, the feud doesn't really make sense to me. We've spoken about it at length a little bit, that I don't really know. I said it last week, I don't really understand who's feuding with who. You've seen it again Monday night.
Yep.
LA Knight's not even involved throughout the show, but it's a BFT that closes the show, so it's a bit strange. It's nice to see LA Knight being put in with a main event talent. It's nice to see him in that picture, but again, it's a Saturday night main event, so is it really main event quality? Seth has to go over. It doesn't make sense for Seth not to win unless there's 100 interferences, as I am likely to think there will be.
Ross, as we've said from episode 1, I think we're a bit. Is this episode 12? 12 now?
Something like that, yeah. 12,
as we
13.
said in episode 1, all the way back in the post-Mania week, we needed a shake-up of who was where. LA Knight is still technically officially a SmackDown wrestler. He just randomly appeared on Raw a few weeks ago to start this feud. His dad says it's confusing every week. It's Sammy versus a heel. It's Sunday versus Seth Rollins. This week it was Penta. It's the same heel versus faces. We've already looked ahead and saying that you can see the remnants of what War Games might look like 4 months out, which is not ideal.
Yeah.
Heading into this weekend, just to quickly, what's your thoughts on this?
My thoughts are this shake-up is kind of both necessary, and then you have one's LA Knight, as you say, that just clearly screw the rules, I'll just do what I want. Like, this match will probably be fun, but this is another one of these ones where I look down the list that, video watchers may see me glancing to another monitor. I'm looking down the list of SNME. I'm looking down the list of Evolution. There is a lot of these matches that can either only end one way or have a screwy finish, or they've really, really cocked up. This is another one of those matches where I love LA Knight. I know Daz does as well, hence why he is wearing the t-shirt, which for those of you watching on YouTube, he's wearing it and showing it. And yet he can't win. He cannot win here, otherwise what on earth are we doing with Monday Night Rollins? It just makes a mockery of, I mean, as we've seen on TikTok, we have thoughts on this stable, but it makes even further mockery of whatever it is that they're doing, and it's a real shame that LA Knight's probably going to eat another pin.
So we're not going to go back around the red table here, but we're all in agreement. It's 3-0 Seth. It's 3-0 Seth based on the fact that it has to be Seth because he has the briefcase. He has to be strong until the time's right for the cash in. Just quick yes or no. Is it going to be semi-clean, or are we going to see Braun and Bronson.
You will see B&B Security, I think. I
love
think
that
this.
name.
Yeah, I did. I'm not going to take the credit. I took it for Saunders, I believe. But
I think I might be B squared, but aye, close enough.
yeah, B squad. You know what I mean? B&B.
Aye.
Yeah, I think there will be some level of interference. I've got a feeling this will open the show, and I'll give you my thoughts on what will close the show when we get to it. But I think that the way this match goes dictates the way the main event goes, I feel. So, yeah, but I can't see past Seth. I
Aye.
don't think he'll ever win clean again, to be honest.
Perfect. Match 2. Randy versus Drew. Now, Daz, I'd normally throw over to you because it's a SmackDown match and you're a resident SmackDown expert, but there has been zero build. Drew's came back. I'm extremely happy with it. I think we all are. He's the type of guy that can hopefully move QB3 at the road in the next couple of months, post SummerSlam, which is what we want. But this should just be a good wrestling match, shouldn't it? Is it as simple as that?
Definitely, and I feel like we've been robbed of 3 or 4 good weeks of in-ring build-up, and
Aye, 100%.
promos. Although I was saying to Ross just off pod, just while we were getting set up, this surely has the legs to go beyond Saturday night main event. This can't be a one and done. This presumably will take them to SummerSlam. I do have a gripe about the match, but it's not about the match itself. It's about Drew's return on Friday night. One of the biggest returns they'll have all year, and you waste it on a taping.
Yeah.
Now, I get it for the company side, you need to keep the crowd invested because it is 2 shows back to back. That's a big ask. I get that. But the way it is nowadays with dirt sheets, it's literally 10 minutes after it happens, it's spreading around the IWC. And there is just no surprise. When I sat down to watch SmackDown on Friday, I enjoyed having a dirt sheet because I could skip things that I wasn't really that interested in. But it also ruins the big return, especially the hometown. A homer. So, yeah, it will be a good match. Probably the only one that's going to end cleanly, if I'm honest, on the card. Although I do believe there will be a 4th match added probably on Friday night. 3 for the card's just not enough. But yeah, going to be a really good match. I think probably match of the night.
I agree with you. I think they should just have made a point of bringing Drew on Raw, had the return live, and then had them do the segment on SmackDown anyway because it was a 5-hour taping in Pittsburgh anyway.
Yeah.
Ross, you want to give your thoughts and go straight into your prediction? Because there's no build-up to talk about, really.
Yeah, it's absolutely impossible, which, I mean, apologies for those at home, but we are trying our best here. It's a tough one because, as Dad alluded to, we had a little bit of a chat off air, and this is a situation that we have where you can actually make a case that neither of these two can actually really afford a loss. You've got Drew coming back into the main event scene. He's making this return. He can't then not go over. But then, as Daz had said to me, Randy's also taken a few L's recently. You kind of can't really just not destroy him, but, take him down a few notches in quick succession if there is a chance he might be involved again in the main event scene with Cena, as an example, just to throw out there. But saying that, I'm gonna be biased and I'm gonna go for Drew, but I have no real conviction in me saying that. If I'm particularly honest, I wouldn't be shocked if RKO goes over, but I'll go Drew.
I'll jump straight on the back of that and say that I said it last week, and I think that shot came a couple of hours ago. I think Drew's the best they've got in the company. I think on the mic, in the ring, on socials, and I know that's not everybody's agreement or taste, even on this pod. I just think the guy's phenomenal, and that's why I was disappointed that it was wasted, because he did get a good pop, but a good pop when the crowd's been sitting for 4.5 hours isn't the pop that he deserves.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that this match has to lead to something at SummerSlam, whether it's these two, whether it's the potential multi-man that we've talked about, or whether it's to set up Cena Orton 2 or eventually Drew versus Cena, because I'd imagine Drew might be in about that picture at some point. I'm going to pick Drew for the same reason that he did win the feud with Damien Priest, then they went the extra match to make him off the telly, which he lost at the last or a previous Saturday night's mid-event. So I'm taking Drew, borrowed from Daz. I will give credit to Saturday Night's mid event as Daz's. I'm taking Drew. I think Cody's going to get involved, and I think he's going to try and help Randy, and it ends up costing Randy. And I just think that'll tease towards that. Because if Cody Cena doesn't drag on past SummerSlam, and if Orton doesn't happen, I think Cody Orton's the feud that takes us through and towards Mania season. So I'm taking Drew. Somehow Cody is involved in it. Results in Orton eating the pin. Daz, an agreement with Drew, or are you going to go?
No, I'll split the deck.
Someone had to. Someone had to.
Everything that the two of you have said makes sense. And if you were to tell me that Drew's going to win, I'm happy about it. I don't mind. The only thing I'll say is that something me and Ross were talking about, Randy's just come off the back of losing the King of the Ring final. Saturday Night Mid Event isn't a real PLE. It's a glorified house show.
It's real
because
to
they don't
me, damn
exist
it.
anymore. It's a warm-up for the all-women's PLE. The only reason I'm picking Randy, because I do think this is really 50-50, and it could go either way. But the reason I'm picking Randy is I don't see where the story goes if Drew wins the first one. I can't see Randy chasing Drew almost for a rematch. I can't see that.
Aye.
I do think you're right, Son. I think
Drew's the one to go over at SummerSlam if it does go 2 or 3 matches, isn't he?
Yeah,
Really, which means he has to
definitely.
lose the first
Drew
one.
will be the ultimate winner of the feud. He will be the ultimate one that gets the rub. I do think that Randy will win. I do agree. I think Randy Orton's the person that's probably going to turn Cody Rhodes heel. I think that's the feud that's going to turn Cody. And I'd like to see a long-term programme with they two. But for me, I'm going to go Randy on Saturday just to help build Drew back into a rivalry. Almost.
You've said the words that I totally forgot. Saturday Night's main event doesn't count as a real PLE. And I've given a scenario that sits on a real PLE, not on a Saturday Night's mid event. So
Yeah,
I think
the world number one contender running in on a middle of the card match is SummerSlam material.
Aye, so it's interesting, and I think for the viewers and the listeners, of which we have many, it's been amazing first couple of weeks on audio. So thanks everybody for that. That it's so hard to predict because there's just no build up to say, oh, like normally if there was 2 weeks of build up, we'd be able to sit here and say this looks like a one off or it looks like a program. Right now, it looks like neither. It looks like it's a one off that should be a program.
Yeah,
so use it to sell tickets, and then we'll decide what happens beyond this.
Exactly. Final match. It's a Raw match, so it's normally mine. I'm going to go to a resident Bill Goldberg expert. Ross.
That guy.
How excited are you for Bill Goldberg's retirement match again?
I would rather walk over hot coals than have to even endure a second of this. But yeah,
I can organise that for you on Saturday night.
I think that would be significantly more entertaining for anyone at home watching. So, if we get 100 listens on this,
chat clip.
Still not going to do it, but I mean, that would really help. Yeah, look, what are we doing here? There is only 2 ways that this match can go, and I kind of hate both of them because ultimately it's just taking up time, precious minutes of my life I won't get back. This is either Goldberg hits a spear, hits a second spear, and then Gunther just beats him down and it's over in 6 minutes. Or there is some weird convoluted scenario that I believe we have sort of alluded to earlier on where Goldberg inexplicably wins this match and is then cashed in on a Saturday night mid-event and loses the title and still retires anyway. In which case, why?
See, if this wasn't Saturday night's mid-event, I'd almost been inclined to go down the route of Goldberg, spear, jackhammer, music hits, and the cash-in happens there before the end of the match to protect Gunther and allow Goldberg his send-off. But I have to accept it as Saturday night's mid-event, and it's not going to happen. I just have no interest in this. Goldberg was gassed walking through his car to the ring again. Like, realistically, he's no offence in this match. He's in shape for an old guy, but he's an old guy that's 260 £, and he carries 260 £. Yes, his muscle. honestly, that is I'm worried for Gunther's health in this one, because we saw what happened in Saudi Arabia a few years ago when Goldberg last tried to lift someone with
Yeah,
a concussion.
I mean, he did almost kill the Undertaker, which is some feat, to be honest. The dead man was almost quite literally dead. Yeah, I honestly can't believe we're booking this in 2025. I did mention it at the beginning when we got to the first match. It's really tricky. So
Just give us a
in
prediction
every
then. Just give
title
us a
match,
prediction.
in every title match that happens between now and Seth winning the belt, Seth and B&B security will be at ringside in some capacity. And every title match from now until he wins the title. I do believe the long-term booking is he's going to win the world title to stop CM Punk from winning it. So I think it might be SummerSlam when he cashes in, because that's what he said. He's going to avoid... He's going to do everything he can to prevent Punk from winning the title. So I don't think it's going to be on Saturday, which makes me think... Which fucking terrifies me, that Bill Goldberg might actually win the fucking title.
Oh, he said it. He said it.
But I don't know how you give Bill the belt with, and this is what sticks in my mind, that you can't put him over Gunther, but let's not forget that we put him over Brock. So we definitely will. He definitely will put him over on Saturday. But if it's his last ever match, what does he do with the title? Is he just going to relinquish it? Is he just going to give it up on Monday night? Because if he wins the title, there needs to be a cash in, because we're not getting another match out of the guy, let's be honest. Can he call it Goldberg's last ride, and then there's 7 subsequent rides?
Make the pick. You can lead us off.
I'm going to make the pick, and it's going to be Bill Goldberg.
Jesus. May God have mercy on our souls.
I have listened, and I have stared at Gunther versus Goldberg on the screen, and I've tried to make sense of it, and ultimately I'm picking Gunther, and the only reason I'm picking Gunther, well, the 2 reasons I'm picking Gunther is one is I don't think we're going to get the cash in on a mid-event. I think that would be horrendous, because NBC own the rights to the footage and all that kind of stuff, I think, because it's a televised special, so they wouldn't able to give that up. The second reason is the question about wins the title, retires, all that stuff, that immediately gets rid of the sort of aura and the allure around the whole John Cena program on SmackDown. So
I think so.
It sets a precedent, doesn't it? Because we're all sitting going, well, what happens if Cena does leave the title? Well, we would find out this Saturday, and then that would apply that to December. So for that week,
Goldberg would be leaving with the title. Goldberg would be leaving the title behind.
Right. So for the 3 reasons of no cash-ins on mid-event, the potential spoilers for what could happen with Cena, and also for the sheer hope of wanting to be back here next week in another episode, I'm got to take Gunther, because I'm done if it's Goldberg.
Remember you said when Penta wins the world title, you'll do the whole pod, and see if he wins the world. See if Goldberg wins the world title, can you shave your head and
shave my head and take my pants?
Yeah, if you don't mind. But I want the full experience. I want you walking in for the driveway with the music. And I want you heading indoors on the way in. All that kind of stuff.
That's that long. It would be like at the end of his road, round the corner, down the hill.
I could be in Spain, and I can do it with doxing myself as well.
I can chant Oldberg or something for you if you like it. Gilberg. I don't know, what you like.
I'm interested to see who was in worse shape at the end of the walk, me or Goldberg. Ross,
I know, but
you've got 15 seconds. Go.
Do you know what? This is an absolute state of a event, and I hate the guy. Do you know what? It's a total nonsense. Goldberg's going to win this, isn't he? He's going to win this, isn't he? So I'm going to have to go, but I genuinely hate me saying that, but he is going to win it, and I'm going to want to throw my television out the window.
Gunther is done. He's buried for the rest of the year. He's in trouble for the year. It's over. His career's back.
It's like every golden shovel, regardless of what happens between now and the end of the year, if that's what
I don't know. I think it's one of those things where Saturday Night Main Event's not actually a PLE, and as someone's retirement match, will probably keep him out of the dirt. But fuck Goldberg.
Aye. Right, so that is the 3 matches currently planned. I am sure there'll be a 4th added in Friday night, and we'll update our reaction to that at the time. So if you want to see what we think of whatever matches are added, go and join us on TikTok at the Golden Shovel Podcast. There's actually been some really good discussions on our clips. It is mostly clips for the pod, and a little bit of original content in there at times as well. So no doubt you'll see us over the weekend reacting to what's going on. So Golden Shovel Podcast over there, and for anybody that is listening, also available to watch this podcast on our YouTube channel as well. Everything is down in the link tree and the show notes. Right, so I'm looking at the Evolution card. It's got 1 to 7. It's not in any particular order, so I'll try and order it up. And we can have a discussion at the end between what will be the main event, what should be the main event. But we'll open with the NXT Women's title match. Ross, you want to give us the background? Because this will just be a relatively blind pick for me and Daz, I think.
Yeah, so obviously we have JC Jane and our cohort going up against Jordan Grace, who the most controversial thing around this is the fact that they ruined Jordan Grace's music and changed it a few weeks ago for reasons I have no idea why, and just made it. Oh, it's just utter nonsense. But obviously, we've had our various.
Can I pause you there? Just sorry, Ross. I'm going to speak to Ed Craig and see if we can get like a rolling list of fuck, and it's just a list of names that Daz shouts every week. So we've got.
Do you know what happens, Steph Rebel? Do you know what happens when you ruin someone's music? I'm going to get a list of Daz, and I'm going to. That's it. It's happening.
That should be a weekly TikTok segment. We should just update that every Wednesday after the pod goes live. Is update the list of Daz on TikTok. Anyway, they've ruined the music. Fuck Def Rebel. Back to you.
So we've obviously had our various number one contenders and what have you actually doing things correctly on NXT. Who would have thought it? And they've came up with JC Jane against Jordan Grace. Now, I was a little bit sceptical of JC Jane being this champion, but in fairness, I actually think she's carried the belt reasonably well. She stepped into that role. There has been some teases here and there between the two either side of her, whose names escape me, which is probably not great for actually speaking about this match. But there's been the odd tease here or there, but one of them might turn, but I don't think this is going to happen today. And then you get Jordan Grace, who we're all convinced is going to be in NXT for as little time as she needs to be because she's going to the main roster. So my assumption would be that surely she's not dropping this title on Evolution, because to me it doesn't really make sense to do that when we know that Jordan Grace is it SmackDown is she tagged to
so
at this point?
She was announced ever since she was announced on SmackDown. She's not appeared in the main roster.
Yeah, she hasn't wrestled in SmackDown once.
I'm going to jump straight on my prediction. Based on what you've said and based on what I know of these feuds, I'm going to take Jordan Grace. And I'm going to take Jordan Grace with the expectation that she takes it. It shows JC Jane on Evolution to a wider audience. Ultimately, I think this match could have a rematch. Maybe it's a SmackDown before SummerSlam, because we've talked about how they've done the blend for NXT stars on the main roster. Or to fill a 2-night programme at SummerSlam, it ends up making the main card. And they do a reversal and it elevates JC Jane. I just don't think... I think having JC Jane beat Stephanie Vaquera and Jordan Grace in such a short period of time is QB3 booking. So I think Jordan Grace being the star that she is, she'll go over this week and there'll be a payoff later on. Daz?
I'm also going to go with Jordan Grace, and the only reason I'm going with Jordan Grace is because I think Jordan Grace and Blake Monroe sells tickets.
Yes.
And I think that'll be the match on the SummerSlam card, I think. But it's a 2-night event.
Good shout.
They don't put the main roster titles on the card anyway. They might as well put the NXT ones on. There will be an NXT event the weekend of SummerSlam. There always is. So it'll be a bash.
Great American bash.
So,
I'm going to double check that, because obviously
there's normally one that weekend.
Yes,
but it's normally
not 2 nights.
On Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, Saturday afternoon.
Evolution is the Sunday.
So
right now there are 3 announced matches for that, and by all accounts it's an arena that holds about 800 people. Make that what you will.
Yeah.
Doesn't care.
So I'm going to go Jordan Grace. I think JC Jane's held the title well. She's done quite well with the belt. I think Saunders is bang on, putting her on Evolution brings it to another audience. Just a wee teaser. This is somebody that might be coming in the future, and it gives Jordan Grace the platform to go and put on a programme with Blake Monroe and ultimately put Blake over, because I said this at the time when she signed, that she will be the glue that holds that division together for about a year, probably, before she
Yeah.
makes a step up next year.
Roscoe, are you agreeing? I know you alluded to maybe going the other way.
It's a very tricky one. I cannot make my mind up this because you all made good points. I think if the events were round the other way and Evolution was a Saturday and Great American Bash ended up being the Sunday, I would actually go, you'd have some weird situation where you get back-to-back title matches and back-to-back days. Probably Jordan Grace, probably, but that's assuming they are actually going to call her up. You guys do make good points. They have not had her be on SmackDown since it's mentioned, so
They don't have
I
anything
will go
for her.
3-0 there, but I am unconvinced about either option, really. I just know it'll be a good match.
I think the difference is, and this might be the last point on this story is that JC Jane's next feud is right there with either Fallon Henry or Jasmine Nix.
True.
It's already there.
Yes.
Whereas Jordan Grace doesn't need the elevation, but JC Jane's been elevated by the Steph Care match. Jordan Grace is trying to put the next person over. That'll be Blake Monroe, who will then put the next person over. I think it's just there.
There is the added confusion where Blake Monroe was involved in saving Jordan Grace from a beatdown from JC Jane.
Yeah.
So
So just laying the
that
groundwork.
intrigue.
The two stories are there.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump ahead on the card that's ahead of me. I'm going to skip the tag match just now. I'm going to save the main event stuff till later on. This is the strangest, worst booked match, and it's a SmackDown match, Daz, and I'm going to just set you up here by saying that I have loved the women's matches a lot this year. I love the women's stories. We've talked about since WrestleMania. It's went a little bit stale in the title picture because of the man with the golden shovels booking, but Naomi's been brilliant. This Jade Cargill versus Naomi is a match where neither can afford to lose because Jade's going to SummerSlam for the title picture and Naomi's the briefcase holder. They have to look strong. You can give us as much or as little as you want on the match and you can dive straight to your prediction, but it's no holds barred. This is just a strange... I know the feud's been there for a while, but this is the wrong time for the right match.
Yeah, it's not the only disappointing SmackDown match on the card, let me tell you.
I could actually see the confusion in Daz's face when you started talking. He's like, oh God, which one's he going to
Which
ask
one?
me
Yeah, which one would you like? Right, we'll start with this one. So, the women's division, especially in SmackDown, has fallen off a cliff in the last 6 to 8 weeks. The quality of the product and the way it's been booked right now is fucking bizarre. We'll get to Tiff in a bit. But I'm looking at, you're right, Naomi cannot take a clean loss to Jade Cargill. It just can't happen. If you're going to book Cargill as the number one contender, she, in theory, can't lose clean-ish because she's a heel, but she can't lose clean to Naomi. The only way I see this match going includes the third member of their original group, and Bianca Belair will be there in some capacity. At ringside, because it's a all women's PL. You're not going to have arguably one of the biggest faces outside of the ring,
not
in
involved.
that women's division, not a part of the show, even if she's not wrestling necessarily.
That's a good point.
I do think there's still an angle with Bianca to be worked in there, and I think it probably how this match breaks down. It's a coin flip. I'm going to go that Cargill wins it. I don't even necessarily mean the interference. It could be catwheeling, shouting, and it ends up in a kick or a roll up or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I do think Jade probably scalps it, and it just probably adds a wee bit into the, is that who Naomi will cash in on as we build towards SummerSlam. So there's not really much else to say. That the feud is done to death, in my opinion, and they do need to move on. And as much as it's a pain that Asuka didn't win Queen of the Ring, it does look like we're moving Cargill on out of this story towards the actual main event. So, I'm going to go Cargill.
I think this match should have happened 2 months ago. And then Cargill winning Queen of the Ring wouldn't have been as annoying. I think this is a complete waste of time. I think you're risking both looking weak. I almost think if Jade wins, you're kind of saying, right, Naomi can't cash in at SummerSlam. It needs a bit longer, but I'm in agreement. It's Jade, and the reason I'm picking Jade is purely because I just don't think she's good enough in the ring. And that sounds silly, but a loss kills the momentum going into SummerSlam, so it has to be Jade. Ross, I'm thinking you're probably ticking the same box for the same reasons.
Do you know, I'm actually going to take a slight curveball, but not in the way that you're expecting me to take the curveball. You said it was no holds barred, right?
Mm-hmm.
You also said that it makes no sense for either one of these to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Count
Neither
out or
loses.
some nonsense.
They can't. It's no holds barred.
It's no holds
The
barred.
match cannot
The
finish.
only way you can have it is in a no contest.
Yeah.
But again, that doesn't
that's-
do anything for either person because
I
somebody
agree.
needs to be wrote off with an injury for a no contest. So
I don't know. That's where I'm going is no contest here because again, we're going to follow the theme of what are we doing. So let's just continue on with what are we doing.
I actually was going to say the same thing until I read it said no holds barred. So I'm going to not necessarily clap back and disagree and say that maybe they just don't have a finish this match. They find a way to just we've had a no contest in the Hell in a Cell before, so they can do whatever they want. And you're right, what the hell are we doing here? I feel like we just have to rattle through these matches, but I'm going to.
There are some good ones though. There is at least something on this card that's really interesting.
There's one.
there's two.
Okay.
I'm intrigued by the tag match. I am intrigued by the tag match.
Yes.
Which is where I'm going next, because I thought we'll spare us from SmackDown for a few minutes.
Thank you.
So the only issue I have with this tag match, Ross will come to you on this one, because you're going to give us a little bit on the NXT team that are coming in, is that
Yes.
Charlotte and Alexa had to earn their way in, but everybody else, as if they went and they got to Monday and went, wait, what do you mean? It's this weekend? Oh,
Yeah.
right, okay. You, and you. That's how. These are the right teams. I think it's great.
I agree.
I'm so happy these 4 teams, but it needed give us a bit of a build up, just the same as every other match on this
What,
weekend.
you wanted more qualifiers?
Not qualifiers, just like the Kabuki Warriors have been back together for about 35 seconds and they're now in a title match. Just give us
a big one too. No, there is also something very similar with the NXT ones where the rumours were, I believe, a fortnight ago, this was not going to involve NXT. The chat was it was just going to be the main brands, which then makes it confusing where between now and then they made that decision, we're going to have Sol Ruka and Zarya put in there. However, because of the way NXT's tapings worked, last week's episode was recorded the week before and they lost clean. So they have that really strange scenario where these are apparently your best 2 women and this has happened. So obviously that's unfortunate for them. I would love these 2 to go over because it seems like they're in no rush to move them up. I think in particular Sol Ruka's going to be in the main event, or not the main event, but the main roster next year. I think she's absolutely nailed on for that. And I hope Zarya's following her because that looks absolutely insane. But they've got away from the teases, I think, of these 2 breaking up just yet. They've had 1 or 2 moments, but then they've kind of dialed it back a bit. But you're right, this match is the match that's absolutely stacked on this card, and I think you can really make a case for any of these teams going over.
Daz, the question I'm going to ask you is actually from Raw here. And I have just realised that because of the way it's worked out, we do have 2 teams from Raw. If you want, I'm assuming you have watched it. It was absolutely, riveting, but it's all I'm looking for.
Yeah, it was like
shite. It was shite.
Foreshadowing of Saturday Night mid event, I think.
As they're having this constant thing about Liv's been out, but every time it's Raquel's clapping back and saying she's been rehabbing 3 times a day, she's closer than you think. Is that planting the seed that maybe Liv's not as far away from returning as initially? Because the injury can be 4 weeks to 4 months. Really, there's nothing in between. So, is there a chance that maybe we don't see her, but that story moves on?
If you're asking me,
I'm asking
I think I did say this at the time. She'll be back before SummerSlam. I still believe that. I mean, they had a vigil for her on Monday night with candles and all sorts. So,
which ultimately was very funny.
They're teasing long term, which suggests to me short term. But the thing that confuses me about Raw, right, is you only have 1 women's tag team on Raw, and they're currently the champions, and one's now a makeshift champion because of Liv's injury.
Right.
Asuka and Kairi saying we're not booked together until halfway through Monday Night Raw. Right. You've recently brought back a vet and started to put her on TV a little bit more, who has been underground wrestling and training basically an apprentice, if you like. In my opinion, it should have been Natty and Maxine. Should have been the Raw team. The reason I say that is Natalya deserved a bit of spotlight on this card, given how long she's been in the division, etc., etc. I mean, fuck me, Nikki Bella's on it, so Natty should definitely, because Natty can actually wrestle. In terms of how I think it's going to go, I think it's really interesting. Sol Ruka does not need eyes on her, so it's weird that it's not like you're putting her and Zarya on because people don't know who they are, kind of similar to JC Jane. Sol Ruka's going to rival Mercedes for the amount of belts she's holding at any one given time. I think if she wins the tag titles, it'll be 3. Is that right? If we're including the Speed Championship.
Something like that,
yeah. I really can't see. How do you put Alexa and Charlotte in and not give them the titles?
That's kind of where my mind goes.
That's exactly where my mind is.
What's the longevity in booking them? Because it's no other women's tag team on SmackDown. So, are we just now saying that these are... Is this this way of saying that these titles are going to be on all brands at all times? Can you really see Alexa and Charlotte going on to NXT to defend their tag titles? I don't know. For me, what I'm going to pick, and the reason I'm picking it is because it makes sense in my head for these people to win it, is I'm going to go I'm going to go with NXT because it makes the most sense for them to go show hopping with the titles. They're not necessarily needed on NXT. The women's division, as we spoke about earlier, is kind of stacked up as it is. It's a short show. Get your tag team out, get them going out, run about, and defending the women's tag titles.
I'm in complete agreement that it's the obvious and it's the right move to put them over. And for that reason, I'm taking Charlotte and Alexa. Because I think if Sol Ruka didn't hold the North American title, you could talk me into it. I just think she has that. She needs to move that title on first. I think if Charlotte and Alexa go over, there's a potential feud for Sol and Zarya later in the line to come in and take the title off them, get the rub later on. I think Charlotte and Alexa have no clear path for a feud. It'll be with each other eventually. There's no clear path for them through SummerSlam. There has to be because they are 2 of the biggest names in the women's division. So purely for the fact that it gives them something to do for 2 months, and it's sad that that's the only reason I have. I think Bookie Warriors happened too late, and the Judgment Day is, as you say, it's not their titles yet. So it's just because there's fuck else for Charlotte and Alexa today. I'm picking them. You can make any point you want. Probably disagree with you, but you can make
I would like to make the point that, as we've obviously spoken about, NXT's Great American Bash is on the Saturday afternoon. Sol Ruka is defending that title against Izzy Dame on that Saturday. So if you want a prediction as to how Sunday might go,
you know who's picking up the tag titles.
Yes, I think so. And to be
Kabuki Warriors,
just to swerve, mainly because Izzy Dame, that whole storyline she's got going on is kind of interesting, and I think that'd be great if she had a belt to kind of run with it for a little bit. Yeah, do you know what? I'm the developmental guy, and I know what you're saying is true, Saunders, but I want Sol and Zarya to have this because I think it would be great just to see what they would do in the current landscape with hopping around. I know that this is what these titles are supposed to be, and then it kind of faded away a bit. Do it again. Let's see what happens. So I'll go there too.
I think there's a fair shout, and maybe Charlotte and Alexa is the programme at SummerSlam, and I'm looking at it being a programme later in the year. But actually did no bad. We're 40 minutes in. We've done the 3 matches on mid-event and 1, 2, 3 on this, 6. No, we're 10 minutes behind. Well, plus the intro, we're 5 minutes behind. Right, let's speed through the next one. We have 20 seconds each. Battle Royal for a world title match at Clash in Paris. You've got Ivan L, Steph Nia Jax, Nikki Bella, Natalya, Maxine Dupree, and probably more people. This is subject to change. We can throw a shot up on TikTok on Friday, but for me, I'm going to turn around and say that it should be Stephanie Vicaire. It won't be Stephanie Vicaire because I just think this is a shit way for someone like that to go over and get to the world title picture. I want to see her earn it properly. Honestly, I just think it's going to be Nikki Bella. I don't want it to be, but it is, and that's why I'm picking her. Daz?
Yep, Nikki Bella. Ross?
I think based on the fact that they had the La Primera promo package on Raw, I think it'll be her, and I want it to be her. We don't even know how many people are in this, do we? We don't actually even know how many.
Nah, I
like,
think that's so they
know.
can get some surprise pops.
Yeah, so are we saying this is like a 15-woman battle royal, maybe?
Because I heard that
rumours of Beth Phoenix and a few
yeah,
others.
Michelle McCool.
Okay.
Michelle McCool was on a podcast saying the phone hasn't rang, which obviously means she's booked for the fucking show. She's on LFG. She's obviously going to be involved.
Aye.
Yeah.
She actually had a face-to-face conversation with Triple H and that can because she's in the building every fucking week.
I'm only going Nikki Bella because just it sticks in my head the promo she mentioned. This isn't a one and done. I'm going to be here for a while yet. She's going to get a run to Clash in Paris, and she won't win the title, but yeah, that's.
Aye, I just think it's. I'd love to see Beth Phoenix somebody else, but it's not going to be somebody that come back. I just looked at who's there. So 2 for Nikki, 1 for Stephanie. Probably going to change her mind on Friday night if they see SmackDown. But
can we do 20 seconds each on the next one as well? Because I've got a feeling it's mine.
It is.
Yeah, I thought it would be.
Go Tiff versus Trish.
Again, taping.
What are we doing here, Ross?
Why
are
we bringing back Trish Stratus on a taping and releasing it in a dirt sheet 4 days before anybody gets a chance to watch the fucking show? But also, why are we booking Trish Stratus against your world champion? There's no way Tiffy drops the belt unless, by some fucking bizarre reason, you want to run Nikki Bella versus Trish Stratus at Clash in Paris. That'd be fucking chaos. But who's buying tickets for that? I have no idea. Yeah, I'm going to go Tiffy retains.
This is the final nail in the Tiffany Stratton title reign for me. Not that she's losing. I just think it's gone. I've lost it. And I said this at WrestleMania that they had to be very, very careful with how they did this, and I think they've just made every wrong move. The main feud on SmackDown in the women's division right now is Jade and Naomi, and we're not enjoying that. The main program is arguably Charlotte and Alexa. So it's Tiffany.
You want to try being responsible for it, man?
It shouldn't be Trish. And I just think if we're going to bring legends back, they either have to be able to go or put them in some sort of match where they can tag with somebody and go over.
Yeah.
Probably the perfect person is for this match. Moonsault versus Moonsault. Just book Lita. Just book her. Just put Lita on the show.
I think
no one cares about Trish Stratus. No one wants to see the chip kick. No one cares.
See, I don't mind them doing stuff like this. And this is one where I genuinely feel really sorry for Tiff. Because this is one of those ones where maybe even backstage she's kind of scratching her head. It's going to be Tiff that goes over because this is not a Nikki Bella situation. This is a one and done. She's not appearing post this. I do just feel very sorry for her that this is where our feud to our title.
I've got a better idea. We strap the two titles to Trish Stratus and Nikki Bella all the way to WrestleMania. That's what I say we do. We strap it to two bets.
We will be talking about it.
Shoot.
I mean, that's aye. We've said what needs to be said. The feud has went stale. The title reign has gone stale, and this is just not going to help it.
Exactly.
Right, let's go for the match that should be the main event, but won't be the main event. The triple threat for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. To me, this has been perfect booking, perfect storytelling. I did love Becky's promo on Raw, and we've talked at length, Daz especially, you're passionate about this, that she's so good on talk shows, on TV, on pods. In the ring doesn't work, but the line she said about I'm having to defend my title against two people who lost last week to each other, that's just good promo, good storytelling.
Yeah,
I liked her playing with the New Day. It was funny. In the background,
I knew we were in for a good promo. I knew we were in for a good promo when she kicked off on Big E. I knew we were in for some magic. I don't know if any of you have seen on Twitter the actual reason why she said that about Big E.
No.
If
It was
not,
a
I'll share it with
clapback.
you off pod.
Was
There's
this a
basically
clap?
there's a picture of Big E with
Aye,
latex
it's the
gloves and
the
an
throwback.
iPad with a certain someone on the screen.
Aye, it's the throwback.
Okay.
But yeah,
Interesting.
yeah, this one for me is going to be match of the night. It's the one that is the only reason I'm watching it live. To be honest, it's the only match that's really gripped me and has made that intrigued. But I'm really intrigued to see how it goes. I won't give you my prediction yet because I know you two will have something to say about the match. I'm really intrigued because one of these people needs to take the pin, and I'm not really sure who it should be. I'm not sure how long Becky's run is. I'm not sure how many more shows she's booked for beyond SummerSlam. Yeah, I'm intrigued. Lyra's maybe been a wee bit back burner in terms of mic work and stuff recently because they've had to bring Bailey into the fold. We had 8-9 weeks of Lyra and Becky, and the two of them showed out in that regard. So I am really, really looking forward to them bringing this chapter to a close with the three of them. It will move on beyond that to two of them, I believe, but that's why my prediction is the way it is. But I'll let you two have your say before we jump into predictions.
My prediction is the way it is for the same reason. But I don't think it's moving on this week. I think we're going to get it. I think this match can be run back one more time at SummerSlam because the build has been so good. Bailey was kept
triple?
away for so yes.
Yeah,
I think I think it can go again, but as you've alluded to, and I'll get to it in a minute, it has to be booked a certain way for that to happen. I think if it goes any other way, then they're all moving on straight away. I think it's re-established Becky and Bailey as the top dogs in women's wrestling. And I know that Rhea's there, I know that Io's there, I know that there's other people, but like whenever these people are involved in the title picture of any picture, you want to watch it because of who they are. And I think it's pulled Lyra from NXT, and I'm not saying jumped over the likes of Stephanie Vicaire, but Stephanie Vicaire's, it's almost as Stephanie Vicaire's start was so hot that they forcibly killed her off.
Mm-hmm.
And Lyra's just at this level where I think she's been working with these, let's face it, future Hall of Famers, and established herself. So I'll go with my prediction just now. I'll come with you, Ross, and you can gauge your spiel on your prediction, and we'll go back to Daz. So I think it's going to be semi-clean, but I think we're going to have a situation where it's Bailey and Lyra, but Becky's going to steal it. I think she takes it into SummerSlam. I think at SummerSlam they get a title change probably back to Lyra, and that allows Becky and Bailey to run their program, hopefully towards the Rumble. So I think to get it at SummerSlam, I think Becky retains a cleanish pin, but some sort of roll up. Maybe she grabs the ties, maybe she uses the ropes, a bit of leverage on someone. I think Bailey probably eats the pin because she can, but I'm going to go Becky for retaining. Roscoe?
Do you know, I sometimes wonder if we're like some sort of like weird connected like hive mind on this podcast, because it's almost like you took the words out of my mouth. But I'm going to just sit and talk gibberish for 30 seconds anyway, because, well, it's why you have me here, right?
He likes his airtime.
We have you here because you set the podcast room up for us.
I send
I don't know why you're here because I love you, mate.
And you watch NXT.
Which we'll get to more on the NXT show that we're going to do this week later on the pod. We'll get there. So yeah, this is going to go on one more because it's too good not to. Yeah. And whilst I know that Evolution is a big deal, or sorry, I'll redo that, should be a big deal in the context of women's wrestling in the WWE. What they've done to it is a bit of a disgrace, but like it should be this real big thing. But SummerSlam is where this can really be like the I's can be dotted, T's can be crossed, and we can move on. I do think Becky's going to retain as well, just to keep it going. Don't get me wrong, if you had something like Bailey somehow taking this now, then yeah, all bets are off, I think, on how they go. I'm fascinated to see what Daz thinks, because I obviously started sprinkling in some and then has passed it off. But yeah, I will go Becky as well, but don't be shocked if we get a little curveball here.
Just before we pass to the Daz to highlight how bad this weekend's looking for Evolution. As of one day ago, this report I'm reading, which might have a couple of days old information on it, Saturday night's mid event had sold just under 11,000 tickets
Mm.
out of a 12,500 setup, so close to a sellout.
Pretty good, yeah.
In the same arena, 24 hours later, Evolution has a setup of 6,600 and had sold 4.8k. So that's
a shame.
technically less than a third full, because they're not going to be
That's a
genuinely, they'll just block bits off. So that's how poorly it's been set up. Daz, are you?
I am again going to split the deck. A little bit controversial. Honestly, it plays out the exact same way that you said, Saunders, except that the people are inverted, and it's going to be Becky and Bailey, and Lyra's going to steal it. But who she steals it from dictates what happens next. If she rolls up Becky, the feud's, I don't think there'll be a third match. If she rolls up Bailey, I think it goes again at SummerSlam. But either way, Becky and Bailey will go one-on-one at SummerSlam, whatever happens. But I've just got this feeling that Lyra is going to take the title back at Evolution. And it's going to be semi-clean, but it will be because of a stramash, to use one of Ross's terms, in the middle of the ring.
I like it.
There's a smorgasbord of options there.
Smorgasbord. Check out TNF if anybody wants to know about Ross's smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord of stramashes.
You know that ultimately the theme that came out of that discussion there, and I'd be really interested to hear what everybody thinks watching this and who will be watching at the weekend, and hopefully Magic Clips does its job and takes this bit out for us, save us something to dig for it. But the intrigue here is because everything about this a couple months ago told us Becky Bailey, SummerSlam, book it, and we're all kind of sitting here going, Lyra deserves to still be involved at that level. She's earned, it's not, because we should be looking at this match and say whatever happens, it's Becky versus Bailey. So if Lyra takes it takes the title away and these two go one-on-one. But we're all kind of sitting here saying, well, that's almost unfair because Lyra's done a hell of a lot of legwork for a quote-unquote rookie heading into the summer. So it's been, this is how, that forget women's wrestling, this is how wrestling should be booked. It's just good storytelling. It has been, and none of us are sitting here pissed off that Bailey missed Mania. We're all looking at what's happening next. The final match in the card, the likely main event. This is so disappointing for me because it sounds daft. It's a one-on-one and the match can go two ways, but it can go two very specific ways for me anyway, as the resident Raw correspondent. This match should have had, it doesn't need a build-up. It can just be, it is essentially two wrestling matches, a wrestling match between your two biggest faces and your biggest brand. It can be that. It's allowed to be that. But not when Io Sky's been doing 5-minute backstage segments and then glazing Nikki Bella, of all people. Because when Nikki Bella was in the WWE and champion, Io Sky was probably dominating someone in Japan anyway at the time. I just think, and the reason I'm saying this can go one or two ways, Daz, and again without good predictions, is that Rhea either wins at the weekend and takes this all the way through the Australia show, or she doesn't win and wins it in Australia, if that makes sense. Like either way, the next 2-3 months of this is set, is why I'm saying go one or two ways. I know that sounds daft, either Io wins or Rhea wins, but it's in a specific way. I won't predict who and why just now, but do you see it any other way, or is it as simple as this is going to set up the next 3 or 4 months of this division, again, being a bit stale?
It's really tricky, right, because what I'm about to say probably lets the cat out the bag in terms of my prediction.
I tried to get away, I was fighting it.
Io cannot beat Rhea a third time and then drop the title to her. It's not possible. You cannot put Io on 3 wins against Rhea Ripley and then have her drop the title to that same person in the 4th match. I feel for Io in the same way I feel for Tiffy. Their runs have been shocking post-Mania. It's almost like they gave them a payoff and then sacked the writer who was writing the storyline. It's really, really weird. It's such a strange scenario to have Rhea in this match without it being an actual feud. It's very odd. I mean, I'll give you my prediction, but it's not really a surprise. Rhea will win the title. And she'll hold it all the way to the Royal Rumble, probably.
To agree with everything you've just said, it didn't need a build-up, as I said, because it can just be, here are the two best people in this division. That, that from the sports side of entertainment, it's allowed to be that on occasion, but you've wasted the opportunity to have your two best stars go back and forward for a period of time. You're right that unless Rhea's going to SmackDown, which is not, you
Please,
can't
I mean,
win.
I wish she was coming to SmackDown.
I wish it would be great. I want to give some real in-depth insight into this, and I feel as though Io Sky is going to get lost, but ultimately I think it's the Rhea Ripley promotional tour for this Perth show, and that's the only reason I'm picking Rhea. And I would have thrown it to you, Ross, but I've got a feeling you're probably going to have to go the same way for the same reasons.
Yeah, I think so. The only thing that's intriguing to me is like some of the promos from Rhea Ripley as someone who is the babyface who is monumentally over. And to be fair, not that Io isn't, right? I'm not saying that. Some of the promos have been interesting. Is there a chance that there could be maybe a twist to a tweener? I don't know. Just some of the things that she's been saying and how she's been saying it leave me a little intrigued. But it's 3-0 Rhea, because, I mean, what? There's no other way of doing it when these shows are coming up and they know that they're huge for that part
ultimately, it's just really strange that your champion challenged the challenger.
Yeah, bonkers.
It's a little
bonkers.
Absolute bonkers. I want to face the best, who is the person that you've beat the last 2 times you've wrestled them. Anyway, that wraps up the prediction show. There's a lot of 3-0. There's a lot of intrigue. Unfortunately, I think there's just too much intrigue of why and where is this going. Therefore, we have to just throw a dart at a dartboard and pick wherever it lands. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll see the thumbnail and you'll see the title of this podcast, whatever it looks like when Ross runs it through the various SEO tools and checkers that we've got to make sure it makes some sense. But we're all massive John Cena stans. I would say, I know Daz is the same, that no matter what's happened in the last 25 years, I've never once booed the guy. The guy is a legend, and he is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I hope he's in the Hall of Fame next year. He might choose not to be, but whenever he decides to go in, the whole show should be about him. He should get an hour and a half for his speech, right? Now, this week in the show, and we made really good time so we can do this properly, if just about a minute each, no rebuttals. Just something we want to see for John Cena's last match. It can be part of the build-up, it can be the match, it can be the output of the match, what happens after it, but just something we want to see in the last match. It can be championship-related, person-related, match stipulation-related. We're booking this, fans booking this for the perspective that it is going to be the Saturday night's main event Boston show, because he said it's mid-December, that's the show that's on. So, and it's obviously essentially a hometown match for him. So I'm going to lead off to giving, because it was my idea to try and do this week, and we've just hit 58 minutes, so I've got a 1 minute starting now. I'm going to say that when it comes to retirement matches and retirement, I feel as though there should always be a full circle type moment. I feel that we've been let down by the fact that Cena Punk was almost used to further Punk Rollins, which didn't need it. I feel like the Randy Orton match was good, but happened a bit earlier than we wanted to be. His top rival. We know there's going to be no Triple H. We know there's like no GBL when he won the first title from him. There's almost certainly going to be no Adam Copeland, unless something magically changes. So with that being said, I want to see the full soccer moment, right? And I think there should be a special guest referee for John Cena's retirement match. And I think the special guest referee should be Kurt Angle.
That'd be great.
That's. I'm not committing to anything for the match. I'm not committing to anything for this. I just think something really simple. Kurt Angle wanted Cena for his last match and didn't get it. Let's just tick these boxes off. Roscoe, you want to go second and give us something for Cena's last match?
So I think Welsh do make a very valid argument around having a full circle moment. There is something to be said about letting a guy like John Cena go out on a high, and the easiest way to do that is for him to win, right? And then, so when you start from that lens, right, okay, who could win? Who could he win against? That it doesn't really matter for that person because that person is so monumentally over that it's all good. And everyone's just going to have a fun time. And I don't know about you, Darren, and I don't know about you, Saunders, but I believe in Joe Henry, and I think it would be a fantastic way to have someone like him
About Sean.
in the eyes of everyone in the world, having that big moment as he comes in, and then he takes the L anyway because who cares? Because I think
I
that
know
would
who's
be
getting the golden
just
shovel
a good
this
one.
week.
Aye. Daz? No rebuttals. Just
Listen,
get
Ross,
a minute.
it's your fantasy booking, mate, and if that's what you want, then I'll not be watching, but I hope you enjoy it.
Well, I will.
There's two things that I would love for Joe, and they don't go hand in hand, right? They don't. I would like to either see stipulation. I'd love to watch Cena's last match be an I Quit match. Unfortunately, again, it's a Saturday night mid-event. They're not going to book an I Quit match. Do you know what I mean, for cable TV? And I think this is for the same reason it won't be the second part as well. But his final opponent should be Dwayne. That's who he should go out against.
I don't
It's
hate it.
arguably the two biggest names across both eras of his time in the company. And it's the perfect send-off for him. Again, you're not going to get John Cena versus The Rock on cable TV. It's not going to happen. As a bit of fantasy booking, they're certainly not going to go at it in an I Quit match. The two of them are like 50-something. So I probably more towards the I Quit match, given the size of Dwayne and what that would mean and how early you'd need to start booking that. To watch Cena go out and say I quit, I think would be a very poignant full circle moment, given the amount of I Quit matches he's had and came out on top. He's mentioned his bodies gave up on them. I think it's a very, very good way to give someone the rub to say I made John Cena quit the company.
Comment them all. Let us know what you think if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching, or sorry, if you're listening on your audio channels, if you hit the show notes, you'll see a link to a text messaging service that can send us a message to our Buzzsprout, and we can pick that up and we can talk about it next week. Or jump over to TikTok, because no doubt these will be clipped there. But we love John Cena. We will flesh these ideas out in the next few months as the storylines start to pick up and make some sort of sense. But these were just our first stab at something we'd like to see at the end of the year. Technically, all three things could coexist. We could have Kurt Angle refereeing an I Quit match between John Cena and Joe Henry, which would be absolutely bonkers.
Book it right now.
Right.
My God.
Well, just
I'll buy tickets to that.
With that being said, we do need to give out the Golden Shovel this week for new listeners, new viewers. It is our weekly award. It's the title of the podcast. It is the booking decision that leaves us scratching our heads. I'm going to throw this one out there because I've stuck the thumbnail together for the pod on YouTube already where I've got Triple H with a shovel. I just think the whole management of this weekend, the constant every other weekend events, the two on this week, Saturday mid-event will survive because there's enough big names on it, but Evolution is just, it's just been buried. And it's a shame because the triple threat match could be the best match of the whole weekend across all the shows. Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley could be the best match across all the shows, as could even JCJ versus Jordan Grace. In fact, and even in the tag match as well. But the rest of it, I think, lets it down. And the fact that we've got a battle royal with 7 people on it, it's crazy. I don't know if any of you guys want to throw it in more specific or in completely different.
I'm happy to give it to Evolution.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where like even Great American Bash is in the same weekend to like a small amount of people and no real talk. It's TKO. TKO are taking the golden shovel. I think they are the ones who are at fault for all of this. They'll try to get their money back from their investment and look what they've left us with. So yeah, bury them now.
So the whole management this weekend has just been shocking, and I hope next week we're saying, well, you know what, that was a solid card.
I hope so.
But the build, and like we said, how many matches tonight have we said there's been no build to this match, so we're just going to take a stab at it, I guess, is the big issue for me.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, TikTok. For those who listened last week, I did say I was the childless, wifeless fun uncle of the Golden Shovel. Please do not panic. My life is not in a tailspin. I'm now the childless, marriageless, unemployed fun uncle of the Golden Shovel. I promise my life is not tail spinning out of control. I will be live for both events, Saturday and Sunday. I am not doing SmackDown and Raw. I do not have the brain power to watch 4 of those shows back to back to back. I'll see if I can squeeze in Great American Bash as well, but that would be double duty. So, yes, come and hang out with me Saturday night and Sunday. Heaven knows I don't need to be up for work on Monday, so come and hang out with me.
And I'm going to try and join you for at least a little bit of the shows since it's back to regularly scheduled overnight timings. I'm going to wrap it up there. Like I said, get involved on TikTok with Daz at the weekend. Get involved with the clips. Drop messages in the comments on YouTube. Send us messages through the link in the show notes, and everything's down there in Linktree to come find us in the socials. The engagement we've had in the last week particularly has been brilliant. But again, we're all talking about the Seth Rollins things. Maybe the faction does work and it's just us hating it. And we'll just sign the podcast off there because I've got a flight in about 6 hours. So, from Daz.
Fuck Bill Goldberg.
Ross.
NXT review show Wednesday night, TikTok. Be there.
And from myself, take it easy everyone. We'll catch you next week in the Gold Shovel.
Bingo.
Gotta be pretty much anything else than your machine.